In the early days, 50 years ago, I was dealing with the grandfathers of the people who are there now. And a lot of them I remember as small children. For me, the wonderful thing is the connection between my family and their families. To me, it's absolutely crucial that we don't battle with nature, but actually work with it. And the wonderful thing is to see this new generation wanting to do all these things. So perhaps I wasn't as mad as all that.
The 2020 Clarence House Annual Review covers an extraordinary period, quite unlike any other we have seen before. It was a busy year, with their Royal Highnesses visiting communities up and down the country and overseas. They saw at first hand new developments in technology and innovation, the changing face of the High Street, as well as many other aspects of national life, including our rich cultural heritage, even taking part in some performances themselves along the way.
If you have seen better days or lived in a fool's paradise, you are, as good luck would have it, quoting Shakespeare.
Ladies and gentlemen, I now ask you to raise your glasses and drink to the memory of author, playwright and poet Oscar Wilde.
They galloped roaring through the town. Matilda's house is burning down.
Elsewhere, His Royal Highness made sure he was able to thank first responders on behalf of communities hit by Storm Dennis. The Prince has also had the opportunity throughout the year to acknowledge and celebrate the work of a large number of Great Britons through the investiture ceremonies held at Buckingham Palace. Another important aspect of their Royal Highness's year is the chance to remember those who have lost their lives through or because of conflict in years gone by. There was also the chance to hear the first-hand accounts of those who survived the horrors of war, and a time to reflect on the lessons learned.
All too often, virtue seems to be sought through verbal violence. All too often, real violence ensues, and acts of unspeakable cruelty are still perpetrated around the world against people for reasons of their religion, their race, or their beliefs. No one arriving in Bethlehem today could miss the signs of continued hardship and the situation you face.
In happier moments, the year also saw different members of the family coming together to mark key dates in the calendar, and to welcome new additions to the family as the Prince became a grandfather for the 4th time. Throughout the year, their Royal Highnesses continued to travel at the request of Her Majesty's government and at the invitation of the overseas realms. In Germany, the Prince spoke of the enduring ties that exist between the UK and our European neighbours.
Heute sind wir viel mehr als nur Nachbarn. Wir sind Freunde und natürliche Partner, verbunden durch gemeinsame Erfahrungen, gemeinsame Interessen und gemeinsame Werte.
There were visits to Japan for the enthronement of the new emperor, to India and New Zealand, and a historic first visit for His Royal Highness to the Solomon Islands. The last year also saw the Prince reaching 2 important milestones of his own. In June 2019, His Royal Highness reflected on his memories from his investiture as Prince of Wales 50 years ago.
The thing I shall never forget, when I drove all the way around large parts of Wales and the South Wales and through all the valleys, and I've never seen so many people in my life. People were so incredibly friendly and enthusiastic. It was remarkable.
Then later in the autumn, in a 2-part documentary, the Prince looked back over 5 decades of running the Duchy of Cornwall and the importance of putting communities and people first.
Well, first of all, I can't believe it's 50 years of this, because it doesn't seem possible. Because, of course, it is a lifetime, completely. It's the people who matter in the Duchy, to me, and the challenges they face individually. And that's what I feel is the vital part of this long-term investment in people and their environment for the future, even if I'm not there.
In January of this year, 50 years after the Prince first spoke of the damage being done to the environment by single-use plastics, he went to the World Economic Forum to launch his biggest environmental initiative to date, the Sustainable Markets Initiative. The SMI is a program that brings industry leaders and investors together with world-class innovators, with the aim of putting people, planet, and nature at the heart of the global economy. The Prince began this latest phase of his environmental work in earnest with his first major speech this year.
We simply cannot waste any more time. The only limit is our willingness to act. And the time to act is now.
Meanwhile, the Duchess continued her work with her charities, ranging from literacy to active ageing to domestic violence. But just as things started moving, everything came to a halt.
The Prime Minister has announced the most drastic limits to our lives that the UK has ever seen in living memory.
You must stay at home.
As the coronavirus pandemic took hold, their Royal Highnesses spoke of their own experience and of the need to support communities and our frontline workers at such a difficult time.
Having recently gone through the process of contracting this coronavirus, luckily with relatively mild symptoms, I now find myself on the other side of the illness, but still in no less a state of social distance and general isolation.
From the beginning of the pandemic, their Royal Highnesses were determined to support and thank frontline staff, from the NHS to shop workers and everyone keeping transport systems running. This will continue as we progress through these unprecedented times.
To each and every one of you, thank you.